Hey there, and welcome to today's explainer. Look, if you've been dragging yourself out of bed at 5 a.m., completely exhausted, hoping that some crazy, complex morning routine is going to magically fix your burnout, especially when you're running on like 4 hours of sleep, well, you are definitely not alone. Today, we're going to completely shatter this myth of the perfect morning and look at what the data actually says about managing your energy. Here's our roadmap for this explainer. We're going to cover the morning routine myth, the reverse scheduling system, shutdowns and sleep sanctuaries, digital sunset protocols, the decision elimination strategy, and finally, the 90-second emotional reset. All right, let's dive right in. First up, Section 1, the morning routine myth. So we've all been sold this idea, right? That to be successful, you need this grueling 47-step wake-up call. You gotta jump into an ice-cold plunge and do 2 hours of meditation before the sun is even up. Honestly, it's kind of absurd. We spend all this time searching for complex solutions, but life is screaming a much simpler answer at us. And it's this: your morning is an output, not an input. While everyone is obsessing over what to do the exact second they open their eyes, they're missing a really profound psychological truth. A high-performance morning? It's really just the result of a well-managed evening. Think about it like this. On one hand, you have chaotic input. That's literally fighting your alarm clock in the dark, trying to force yourself awake at 5 a.m. On the other hand, you have true input, which is proactive evening energy management. Your productivity doesn't magically start when that alarm rings. It starts with the bridge you built 10 hours earlier. Which brings us to Section 2, the reverse scheduling system. To build that bridge, we really need a paradigm shift. Instead of planning your day from morning to evening, you actually need to plan it backwards so it doesn't just turn into a blur. Let's look at the right side of this timeline, your sleep time. This is your absolute most vital anchor. Why? Well, because during deep sleep, your brain essentially acts as a literal dishwasher. It washes through your brain tissue, clearing out all those built-up toxins. So if you don't protect that sleep window first, you're basically trying to work in a completely cluttered, messy office the next day. Now, right before that vital sleep anchor, we have the 90-minute evening block. We break this down into 3 distinct 30-minute slices. First is recovery. This is pure decompression. Absolutely zero decisions allowed. Then comes growth, where you let your energy climb back up a bit, maybe for a hobby or some light learning. And finally, connection. This is perfectly balanced for quality time with the people who actually energize you. Moving right along to Section 3, shutdowns and sleep sanctuaries. Now, getting into that relaxed state, it actually takes some effort. If you've ever found yourself completely unable to just relax after a long day, hey, it's not a flaw in your personality. It's just because your brain is physically stuck in work mode. The fix for this is the shutdown ritual. It's this beautifully simple 3-step physical trigger. Step 1, stand up. Step 2, take 3 deep breaths. And step 3, physically close your laptop. Doing this exact sequence sends a crystal clear signal to your subconscious mind that work is officially over for the day. Once you've officially shut down, you need to transition into a sanctuary. Dim the lights, bring in some soft textures, use calming colors. And look, this isn't just about having comfy pillows. Your environment silently shapes your decisions every single day. By intentionally designing an evening sanctuary, you're making relaxation the default easy choice. All right, Section 4, digital sunset protocols. Okay, we have to call out the phone for what it really is. It is an absolute energy vampire. Every single time you stare at that screen until midnight, your brain literally thinks it's high noon because it just cannot physically distinguish between digital blue light and natural sunlight. To combat this, we use this really fascinating, unconventional evening practice called app mortality. Basically, every evening you deliberately delete one app from your phone. This severs those digital ties and interrupts that mindless scrolling right before bed. And don't worry, you can always just reinstall it tomorrow. But here is the truly shocking truth behind this tactic. 90%, seriously, 90% of the time, when you wake up the next morning, you won't even remember which app you deleted. That is exactly how mindless our evening scrolling really is. And that leads us right into the analog hour. 1 hour before you go to bed, your devices need to go to sleep before you do. Put them in a completely different room. Your bedroom has to remain a sanctuary, not some satellite office that's just constantly buzzing with notifications. Next up, Section 5, the decision elimination strategy. By the time the evening rolls around, your decision-making muscles are just completely exhausted. And this is the exact reason why people fail those elaborate morning routines before they've even had a cup of coffee. To fight this decision fatigue, you need to make critical investments in your future self. Lay out tomorrow's clothes, pre-plan your meals, set up your morning space. Don't think of these as annoying chores, but as necessary executions. Your morning is definitely not the time for tactical thinking. You literally have to protect your morning mental clarity the night before. Which brings us to our final section, Section 6, the 90-second emotional reset. We definitely have to acknowledge the emotional friction that inevitably happens when your perfectly planned evening routine gets entirely derailed by life. It happens to all of us. So I want to pause and ask you, what if your routine isn't perfect? How do you handle that frustration and stress of an imperfect evening without just throwing your hands up in the air and abandoning the whole shebang? Well, the answer lies in the number 90. Scientifically speaking, the chemicals of any emotion only actually last 90 seconds in your body. They will naturally flush themselves out unless you actively keep feeding that circuit with your thoughts. So when you get stressed because things didn't go to plan, just count to 90 and breathe. This really brings us to our core takeaway for today. Stop trying to find yourself in some stressful, wildly complex morning routine and start creating yourself through these evening systems. Life really isn't about finding extra hours in the day. It's about making sure the restorative hours you do have are actively building tomorrow's energy reserves. So I'll leave you with this final provocative question. How will you design your evening tonight to build tomorrow's energy? It's time to finally ditch that 5 a.m. alarm anxiety and take immediate action on your evening systems tonight. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and I hope you enjoy reclaiming your mornings.